on what is easily the most explosive tech controversy of the year, the $250 million AI scandal.
Yep, you heard that right. $250 million. To put that into perspective, this isn't just, a handful of disgruntled tech reviewers complaining on some online forum. No, this is a massive, highly coordinated class action lawsuit filed right here in the US, and it is squarely targeting the iPhone 15 Pro and the entire 16 series. We're talking about millions of everyday users who felt completely sold on a promise that simply wasn't kept. And look, when a potential payout hits $250 million, the entire tech industry absolutely has to sit up and take notice.
So it begs the question, did your new iPhone actually scam you? Now, we are completely impartial here, we're just looking at the facts. But that is exactly the question millions of consumers started asking themselves. Users are claiming that when Apple promoted these brand new devices, they heavily showcased this Apple intelligence, right? They presented these incredible AI capabilities as if they were fully baked and ready to use on day one. But the reality? Well, highly anticipated features were severely delayed or, only partially available. It created this massive, glaring gap between the glossy marketing campaign and the actual box you held in your hands.
So, let's break this down. Section 1. AI expectations versus reality. The golden promise versus the glitch. You see, the marketing campaigns for these flagship phones really painted a beautiful picture. They showed off fully ready, transformative AI that was going to completely revolutionize how you use your device. It was, for all intents and purposes, the ultimate golden promise. But then we hit the glitching reality. When consumers actually got their hands on the devices, those features simply weren't there. They were delayed, they were pushed back, or they were released in these highly limited partial forms. And millions of users basically argued that this created fundamentally misleading expectations for what is, let's face it, a very expensive piece of hardware.
Which brings us to Section 2, the consumer backlash. Why users got frustrated. Imagine watching those keynotes. Users watched them and firmly believed their virtual assistant was getting a massive, day-one AI overhaul. So you can imagine what happens when they boot up their brand new phones and realize, wait, I thought Siri would be completely upgraded. That trust? It just instantly snapped. We're not talking about some minor annoying bug here. A core, heavily advertised pillar of the new user experience was completely missing in action.
And man, that frustration compounded fast. People were saying, hey, the AI writing tools are missing, we literally didn't get what was shown in the ads, and this consensus rapidly grew from just a mild annoyance into a really serious accusation of overpromising. Consumers basically felt the advertising heavily implied these tools were ready right now. And honestly, that collective viral anger spreading across social media, that's exactly what fueled this massive legal fire.
All right, moving on to Section 3, who gets the money? Breaking down the payout.
So who actually gets a slice of this massive $250 million pie? Well, to be eligible, you have to be a buyer in the USA who purchased either an iPhone 15 Pro or a device from the iPhone 16 series between mid-2024 and early 2025. Now, if you happen to fit those highly specific criteria, you are looking at an estimated payout of somewhere between $25 and $95 per user, which, might not sound like a life-changing amount on its own, but because we're talking about millions of eligible buyers, that $250 million gets sliced up incredibly fast.
Now, if you're watching this explainer and you're thinking, hey, that's me, I fit those criteria, the claiming process is actually pretty straightforward. First things first, you just have to wait for the official settlement website to launch. Once it's live, step 2 is you'll need to fill out a formal claim form. And finally, step 3, just be prepared to provide a proof of purchase to verify it all. It's a totally standard process, but keep in mind, with millions of potential claimants, it's definitely shaping up to be a massive logistical operation.
Okay, now for the wild part, Section 4, the ultimate legal twist, the $250 million loophole. Boom! Get this. Apple officially admits absolutely no wrongdoing. None. Despite agreeing to hand over $250 million to these frustrated consumers, their legal stance is rock solid. They're saying they did nothing wrong. They didn't mislead anyone, and their marketing was totally fine. It is such a crucial detail, and honestly, it completely vanishes in those flashy headlines you see everywhere.
But, this is just the reality of corporate litigation at a trillion-dollar scale. It's a concept called legal closure. For a giant like Apple, paying this massive settlement is really just a calculated financial move. It buys an end to the dispute, it kills the bad press, and it avoids the sheer unpredictability of a massive jury trial. All of this without legally admitting any guilt or misleading behavior. So, to the consumers, it definitely feels like a victory, right? But to the legal system, it's simply a closed case with absolutely no guilty party.
Which leads us to our final part. Section 5,
The AI reality check. The industry impact.
Now, this case has violently split public and expert opinion. On one side, supporters of the tech industry argue that complex software delays, especially when we're talking about groundbreaking AI, are just completely normal. That's just how software development works, right? But then, on the other side, critics are firing right back. They say this completely misses the point. The argument is that aggressive marketing created false expectations that simply did not match the immediate reality of the product in the user's hand on launch day. It has turned into this fierce industry-wide debate over the line between selling a vision and selling a functional, ready-to-go tool.
Regardless of where you personally stand on this, the fallout is absolutely undeniable. Brand trust takes a really severe hit when millions of people feel misled. Going forward, you can bet there is going to be intense, microscopic scrutiny on exactly how tech giants market their unreleased AI features. And perhaps most importantly, there is now extreme pressure on Apple to make sure that the next time they promise an AI revolution, they actually deliver it on day one.
So as users sit back and wait for final court approval for this massive payout, we really have to ask ourselves, is this just another corporate cost of doing business? Or is this actually the tech world's biggest, most expensive reality check for AI marketing? I mean, the next time a glossy ad promises you the future today, you might just want to read the fine print.